Hello and welcome to the 1 to 11 podcast. You are listening to Northamptonshire's premier squad building podcast. So my name is Paul and I'm joined here by my brother John.
Hello there. Happy to be back. Now a couple of weeks since we've last recorded.
Absolutely. So we've had a small break and we've come back refreshed, just full of ideas, and with 2 failed recording attempts. So that's good. So lockdown restrictions were relaxed. We tried to do this in person within a social bubble and failed miserably. So let's see how we get on today.
If it helps, we had a lovely time.
Yeah, we did have a fantastic, and it was probably the best show we've ever done.
It actually really was. It was really fun. But the audio gods conspired against us.
Yeah, so if you've ever listened to the Tenacious D song Tribute, it's exactly that.
Yeah. Yeah, this is not the best podcast in the world. This is a tribute to the best podcast in the world we produce.
Absolutely, 100%. So, for those who are new to us, welcome aboard. The idea of this is that during the coronavirus pandemic, my brother and I harked back to kind of football's glory days.
Well, in our eyes, it was football when we enjoyed it more. And then it sort of turned out that I just sort of missed football anyway. But back to the days when the corporateness of it all was a slightly less egregious.
Pre-prawn sandwich.
Yeah, but still a few prawn sandwiches.
Absolutely. I think we used to go on long journeys, and we've been to Ellen Road a number of times, and on the way there we'd think like the best team of the Serie A in the 90s. That was the first one we did.
We did, yeah.
Listen back to that. It was really good, as all of them are. But one of the things we thought of today,
the Chelsea one wasn't that great.
The Chelsea one was pretty rubbish. I really like the Football Manager one.
Football Manager one was my favourite one we've done so far that we've actually managed to record.
Yeah. And other than that one, we even had a guest and everything.
I know, yeah.
And he was really good.
Yeah, we'll get him back.
Yeah, and then
please come back.
And then we'll hijack the recording again, just to spite him. So what we've gone for today, the idea being that we create a squad. Now, this is not the definitive best team. This is not. This is just our opinion. We welcome other opinions. Now, if you have other opinions, you're welcome to give them to us. You don't even have to give us money to give us those opinions. Of course, if you want to give us money and your opinion, you're welcome to. And that's very, very appreciated.
I'm not going to turn it down.
No, absolutely not. So this is based on our experience of football. So for those people who, when we talk about, we're creating the European team of the 90s. And with that, this is based on our experience. If you think it's absolutely shameful that I have not included Ed De Hoy in this team, if you think, I've breaking one of our rules, I will never insult Brian Roy.
No, it's the often spoken but unwritten rule.
Absolutely. There will be no Brian Roy bashing on this podcast. And I tell you, I will not bash him today.
No.
However, if you think it's shameful I've not included the godlike Brian Roy in my European team in the 90s, I welcome your opinion. And there will be various social channels in which you could do that, through our Twitter account, through our Instagram account, or our Facebook account.
Or email.
Absolutely.
We're trying to be everywhere. But do you want to define what European team of the 90s means? So
these are players who are born and represented a European country in the 1990s.
So it's not just played in a European country.
Absolutely correct. So anybody born outside of, or who did not represent, when we're talking about the France team of the 90s, most of them were born outside of France. So people who represented a European country in the 1990s.
Okay. Well, we might get onto those people very soon.
Absolutely. So we wanted to do European because we are basing this on our experience of football. So for me, that is kind of about 91.
It's sort of 19. I'm a couple of years older than you, so to me it's 1990 to today, and I guess for you it's like 91, 92.
My first memories of football were the Gaza FA Cup
Yeah,
semi-final and final.
and we have a rule that you must, it's our experience of them. It's we don't want to base this on stats, stories, hearsay. It's so if we
I
hear
know Dixie Dean was a wonderful footballer. I know he scored 60 goals in a season. I know Malcolm McDowell was fantastic, and Frank Worthington was an absolute cad. I never saw them.
yeah, Cruyff. We've seen clips, but we never watched him at the time, so we don't feel like Johan Cruyff. I did watch Jordi Cruyff.
Yeah, I was a fan of Jordi Cruyff. I'm a United fan.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. So there are maybe some people who we just don't know, and I think that might come into play in the non-Europeans.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start with telling you my formation, John. I have gone for the steadfast of the 1990s. I have gone for the flat 4-4-2.
Well, I've gone 3-5-2 because it still was
Because
in.
you don't like picking fullbacks, do you?
I don't like picking fullbacks, and I was fine at right back, but my left backs all felt a bit thumbed in.
Well,
Uh,
mine's pretty much thumbed in. Yeah, mine is
no,
thumbed in a softie, very
no,
much.
no, but yeah. So I went 3-5-2 because I wanted to fill my team with midfielders.
That's perfectly acceptable. It's your opinion.
Thank you.
So, I'd like to start by telling you my goalkeeper. There are a number of great people I considered for this. Now, basically, it was a group of Italians or the man I picked.
I am pretty much the same, uh, unless you have picked it away. And this is all a
It's a ruse for me.
yeah.
It
No, it's Schmeichel, isn't it?
has to be Schmeichel. You can't underestimate the impact that man had on Man United. And also, us in Europe, when we couldn't play so many European people, when we couldn't play so many non,
We couldn't play three
yeah,
non foreigners, wasn't it?
pre Bosman, yeah.
Yeah, three foreigners. It wasn't even like non-EU. It was, you can play three. So wasn't it the Barcelona game?
Yes, where was it Gary Walsh in goal?
Gary Walsh in goal because you played
Kanchelskis,
Cantona and Chelskis. I think who else? Who else would have been? But yeah, you had three.
Dennis Irwin, Roy Keane.
Yeah. So yeah, because they were foreign.
Yeah, God knows. But you saw the difference of the Man United team when Schmeichel wasn't there, and it took us so long to replace him. Also, the thing that made Schmeichel brilliant for me wasn't just what he did for United. Yeah, he won the Champions League, he won multiple league titles. He was also one of the key elements of the Danish team winning Euro '92.
Yep. Um,
And his middle name is Bolslaw, like coleslaw, but with a B. And
I
I like that.
whilst the lockdown has been happening, I've been on various uh,
Porn sites.
no football, so YouTube and other sites that show or football matches.
Yeah.
Uh, and the best match, I'm possibly going to say I've witnessed, uh, is Denmark against Brazil in the '98 World Cup, where Denmark really should have won.
That was a Denmark had some fantastic players. They were a very good team.
And yeah, but they the manager before the game says, with Peter Schmeichel, you start 1-0 up.
Yeah.
Because, and then Denmark go and get 1-0 up, so, but still lose, unfortunately, because it was a swashbuckling Brazil team. But yeah.
Basically, they were playing a 2-8,
It was
a 2-2.
2-1-8, 2-1-7, I think it was effectively. Yeah, brilliant. But yes, if you get a chance, I think it's on YouTube or Footballia, I think it's called. Um, I didn't, I'm not sure how legal they are, but it's a fantastic game. Just watch it. It's brilliant. We should do a watch along.
Absolutely. I think if we so you know
Yeah, yeah. I mean, David Seaman was very good.
He was very good, but he wasn't as good.
Wasn't as good.
So Pagliuca, great goalkeeper.
Peruzzi,
Peruzzi.
yeah, there was some
Um,
great Italians.
yeah, the Germans. You had Bodo Ilgner, who was all right, but
All
he
right,
just wasn't as good.
wasn't as good. But yeah, and it's all
Bartes coming in at the end, but not as good as
Khan.
Schmeichel. Can't.
Yeah, but yeah, no, I think Schmeichel's the best, and possibly still the best goalkeeper I've witnessed. Maybe a lank Italian guy, but yeah,
Yeah, I mean, apart from that guy who's looked 40 since he was 19,
he's older than the manager.
that doesn't surprise me.
Yeah, Perlo is 41. Buffon is 42.
I bet that's mad enough in itself, isn't it?
Great.
So Schmeichel was the unanimous choice, and the loving on Schmeichel continues.
The first time we've been able to get him into a team. So,
He'll be in many
but I'm
others.
sure it's going to be many others. Yeah.
So I will go to my right back, and my right back was, in my opinion, probably the best right back going. So good that a, a little bit like Paolo Maldini. He was that good they had to move him into the centre. And that is Lilian Thuram.
Yeah, we had him before. I think in our Serie A
Yeah,
team, and he is brilliant.
absolutely.
It's not just it's poor, you know, call it as it is. He's the best right back, uh, possibly the best right back I've seen. Although I can think of one who challenges him, but he is unfortunately not European.
Absolutely.
Um,
I just wanted to send you something that, on the subject of Gigi Buffon, who last Wednesday he played against Giovanni Simeone, which means he's now played against Paolo Maldini and his son, George Weah and his son, Thuram and his son, Enrico Chiesa and his son, and Simeone and his son. The man is eternal.
wow. I mean, I hope he goes forever because he's still good.
Yeah, he's just in the 90s. He won as good as Michael.
Yeah. No,
If we do a team in the
and
2000s, he's
Michael has the longevity of it as well. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. He was there the entire 90s.
Yeah.
Buffon wasn't. Yeah. So
I don't have a right back because I've gone 3-5-2
okay, so tell me
because
your first defender then.
uh, I have gone with my centre back. I'll pick the one the centre back uh, could, could go got one left back if you want, which is Paolo Maldini.
Which is the guy I've put at left back. Because in the 90s, at some point, he was a left
He
back.
was a left back. He sort of moved in the 2000s to centre back as he got older, I guess.
Lost his legs, yeah.
Yeah, as he well, he turned 40.
Yeah.
But yeah, brilliant. Although sadly, last game I watched him in was against the Czech Republic as part of the Euro '96 watch we had at the start of this lockdown. He was awful, but he is brilliant.
There were
Uh,
a lot of countries that performed really badly at Euro 96.
I don't think they prepared for the Czechs. That was
Nobody,
poor management,
nobody prepared for the Czechs.
and they were just not yeah, this sort of wave of brilliant fast players, just confusing. But yeah, Maldini was brilliant, and you look at his trophy cabinet, and
He's got everything,
he's got everything.
other than the World Cup.
Yeah, he wasn't there, was he? But it's fine. I think he does all right.
I'm sure he'll cry into his 5 Champions League trophies that he has.
Exactly. Yeah. So the guy just defines 90s football, really.
Absolutely. So I had him at left back. So we've got a second unanimous choice there.
Exactly. So who have you got at centre back? See if you've got some unanimous choices here.
So my centre backs, my first one is a man who across the 91, 92, 92, 93, 93, 94 season scored 44 goals.
Is that Koeman?
He's Fernando Hierro.
I've got here as my other two centre backs just screen goals, which are Fernando Hierro and Ronald Koeman, who I think have between them 400 career goals.
Absolutely. And also the El Clasico match up there as well.
Yeah, yeah.
My other centre back I went for was Matthias Sammer.
I may mention him later.
You've put him in midfield, haven't you?
I might have. Uh,
Matthias Sammer for me, the Euro '96,
good.
that libero, basically just do whatever you want, just be great.
Beckenbauer-esque.
Yeah, and just phenomenal, phenomenal player. And I think kind of injury robbed him of him at his best.
Robbed him of his best years, really.
But when
Uh,
he was good, he was great.
I still love watching that Dortmund team in the Champions League. They were so um,
I don't know how they could have been underrated.
no, no, like so good that they couldn't find space for like Thomas Hassel. You know,
But it's a very functional team as well. Like Paul
Paul
Lambert,
Lambert, yeah. But we also had Moller.
Lars
Uh,
Ricken, Karl-Heinz Riedler,
there's also an honourable mention for Köhler, who,
Jurgen Kohler.
who
Yeah,
was
great player.
almost in my first 11, but Koeman was if you're going to play three at the back, you can put midfield and he's just goals.
I think the other choice I had for left back, taking in the Germans, was Andreas Bremer.
Yeah, very good
But
player.
for me, too early 90s.
Two earlys, and he's up against Paolo Maldini.
So he loses.
Yeah.
So that's defense. So defense, I've kind of got American football there.
Yeah.
Defense.
Defense. We've shot with that quite quickly, but quite frankly, there was some.
There was people who absolutely had to be picked. I think the thing that people forget, Spain get kind of a bad rap in the 90s because they didn't win anything though, did they?
Uh,
Um, you forget
well,
that
they didn't win
Spain.
anything internationally.
Oh, yeah, Real Madrid were
Still won the Champions League
twice. Yeah.
And
Raul was a phenomenon of a player.
at the end of the 90s, and yeah,
Fernando Hierro was outstanding the entire 90s.
yeah. Great player.
Won everything as well.
Yeah.
Apart from the World Cup.
Well, was he there? Was he there in Bolton in the League Cup?
No, he wasn't. But the thing I liked about him at Bolton was he went there on the advice of Ivan Campo
Oh, really?
and the advice of Steve McManaman.
Ah, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He went there on the advice of those two. Ivan Campo being there. And just had a great time. Which is
He was brilliant.
he was
Really?
so cynical as well, and I
Oh
loved it.
yeah, no, he had no pace left, but yeah,
But a sharp mind, and
great to watch.
they were desperate for him to sign another year, and he just retired instead.
Yeah,
Great, great player, and I actually think kind of underappreciated for what he did because
yeah. I think he's sort of a lot of these players are before like
Stan.
stand culture, and I imagine if they were playing now, the stand culture for
A guy scoring 18 goals from defence.
Maldini just being brilliant, Turan, these players would have inspired. But I think at the moment they're left to the guys at Bleacher Report and Joe to tell their story.
Absolutely, yeah. So the defence that we've gone for there. So just to clarify, Schmeichel in goal.
Yeah,
I have a right back of Thuram, and I also have Sama and Hierro with a left back of Maldini.
I have three centre backs: Maldini, Hierro, Koeman.
Stop that.
And yeah, I say notable mentions for Jürgen Köhler, um, who almost made my team, but yeah, I went for gold instead.
I'm going to start with my right midfield, John.
Okay,
I'm going to go for a man who played for three of Europe's biggest clubs.
okay,
He is Portuguese. I've
okay.
gone for Luis Figo.
I've also gone for Luis Figo because if you can get Luis Figo in a team, you should put Luis Figo in a team because he is brilliant.
Yeah, even when he was at Inter at the end, he was always top class.
Yeah, I remember oh, the first leg of Manu Real Madrid, the one where
The Ronaldo hat trick.
the Ronaldo hat trick was the second leg. The first leg, they win 3-1.
Yes, I believe so.
And he was just amazing. He like Robin. He had a trick, wasn't he? You know, he cut in from the wing and curl one into the corner, and nobody ever like Robin. They never found a way to combat it, and he could play really.
And you can play him in the centre as well. He could play literally anywhere.
Yeah. Um, every so often I'll be watching YouTube and his goal against England will come up.
Oh, Euro 2000.
Yeah, and I shudder just thinking, oh, we were winning, and it just knocked the stuffing out of us because it was like a 40-yard thunder bastard. Um,
He had everything in his locker.
yeah, plus handsome man.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, if he turned up to date my daughter, I would have no issue.
He's 40 years older than you are.
I mean, when she's of an appropriate age.
Okay, yeah. But yeah, no, superb player, and once again, um, if he was playing now, I think they'd be building islands in his name and just statues everywhere because he's
He was phenomenal.
brilliant and humble.
Absolutely. Um, so I'm going to the left midfield now.
Have you gone for a Welshman?
No, I've gone for a Czech Republic native.
Oh, we have a difference finally.
But do you know what? I'm happy to relent, which is
Well,
this.
you
No,
don't need to relent.
I know. I'd like to relent because I realise I've made an error.
Okay,
Pavel Nedved was very, very good,
he was great.
but across the '90s, Ryan Giggs was better.
Yes.
Like as a United fan, I'm disgusted that I forgot Ryan Giggs.
Well, I always try hard not to put members of my own team in there.
Lucky you. Your team sucks.
Well,
Actually, you just got promoted. Congratulations.
thank you. I'm looking forward to seeing you back in the Prem. But yeah, no, the gigs was brilliant, and me and I used to have a guy called Joe. Um, he was an Arsenal fan. I was a Leeds fan, so we neither of us have any sort of love for Man United or any of their players. Uh, but on the pitch, just watching gigs, and when he got tackled, his first thought was, "I'm gonna get this ball back," and that didn't happen to wingers at the time. Uh, and when he got the ball, some of the goals he scored, especially like in the early '90s when he was just running at players for fun. I think it was a goal against Tottenham, which made one goal season.
The goal he scored against QPR,
QPR, sorry, yeah, and it was white and blue.
where he nutmegs a player on the way.
Yeah,
And it's also that the goal against Arsenal, '99 FA Cup semi-final,
yeah. I always dislike that one a bit because I always think,
the celebration.
no, I don't mind the celebration. It's I don't like the defending. It's it's you can tell it's sort of
Knackered.
players in their late 30s against a still fit winger
A man in his absolute prime.
and had just come onto the pitch. Um, let's not forget as well, it was an assist from Patrick Vieira. um,
Oh, but he still had to,
but
he still had to run through like
he
nine
still had
men.
to run. He still had to run 60 yards, put it into the top corner from a acute angle. So it's still a good goal. So please don't shout at me, Man United fans. It's brilliant. But yeah, Adam, when people are going about being like one of the best goals ever, I always stay calm. Let's remember the QPR goal. That was
But for me, the reason that goal against Arsenal was so pivotal was the timing.
exactly.
With so much at stake, that goal.
And that year,
Yeah. Yeah, do you know what? Nedved was great, but for me, Nedved at his prime was kind of 2000 to 2005.
yeah. So the Lazio years of '96 to 2001.
Yeah.
And then so he won the league 2000 in one of the great uh,
Financially mismanaged teams of all
financially
time.
mismanaged teams, but what a team.
Yeah.
But yeah, he had some.
Just stop buying a team if you own a food company.
But yeah, I think Giggs throughout the 90 basically came in like 91, didn't he? Really, and
Yeah.
Uh,
And the biggest problem was he was Welsh. No offence to the Wales team are
yeah, but
fantastic, but
that is a point because actually one of the things I did do was I googled uh, uh, players who made a mark on the international scene, so like World Cup teams, and
I was going through World Cup squads to find
yeah,
players
which
I
of
hadn't
course
thought
means
of.
you're never going to find Ryan Giggs,
True, absolutely.
and never appeared at a major finals,
Other than the Olympics in
but
2012.
he did appear at the Olympics. I went to be watching at the Olympics, and he was fine, but he was 38 at the time,
Yeah.
so
What a player in the
what a
90s as
player.
well. So, just also won everything in the 90s.
Yeah, domestically, yeah,
Domestically won,
and you won Cup Winners' Cup, won the Champions League.
yeah,
Yeah, so
won everything other than the UEFA Cup and
yeah,
the League Cup.
didn't you win the World Cup?
Don't think he did in the 90s.
Oh, there you go. Well, yeah, what a player.
What a player. So yeah,
Also, being the 90s, you don't have to take into account his indiscretions.
yeah, poor Rodri.
Yeah,
So yeah, I think that's absolutely accurate. So I'm going to give you my first centre mid,
go on then.
the Maradona of the Carpathians.
I wanted to have it left mid. It was originally my left mid before I remembered the best player the Premier League uh, has sort of produced.
I've gone for Georgie Hardy.
Love him.
Great player, great player. Had everything. If free
Didn't have
kicks,
height.
didn't have height, but
Had everything else.
had such a fantastic touch, technique, set pieces, thunder
Balance.
bastard, just played the game beautifully, and a little bit like Giggs if he wasn't Romanian.
Well,
But
at least that Romanian team,
in the '94 World Cup
the 94 World Cup,
and the
because
'98 World Cup where they
98,
all bleached their hair
yeah. In 90, we
with
watched
Dan Pet Rescue.
the Dan Pet Rescue, yeah. We watched year 96, me and our Snap UK colleague, Griff. And if Romania had a forward, they would have done a lot of damage because they were so good in each game. But no,
VRL Moldovan.
they had nobody to put the ball in the net, or nobody who was able to put the ball in the net, and they had a really dodgy keeper. Stanku, maybe,
It was the pre-Bogdan Labont days.
yeah, yeah. Um, and the goalkeeper was awful. But everything else about the team was so fluid, and they were brilliant to watch. They just couldn't put the ball in it. Uh, but that's not his fault.
No,
And he was brilliant. And let's look at the CV. He played for Real Madrid,
that's Barcelona.
played for Barcelona. You know, they don't. We'll get onto that thing of theirs later when
Well,
we
you look
pick their bad players, but they generally don't buy bad players.
look at his
They,
nicknames: the Maradona of the Carpathians, the Commander, and the King.
yeah, uh, yeah, no, a stupendous player.
Brilliant, brilliant,
I
brilliant.
remember it must have been late 90s or early 2000s. Maybe I think it was early 2000s actually. To be fair, he scored a goal against Ireland for Romania, where he hit a free kick from about 40 yards. It's a stupendous goal. Uh, but yeah, um, turned down Milan, Juventus, Munich to join. Uh, uh, uh,
Galatasaray.
no, Madrid.
Yeah,
But also because this was Ceausescu's Romania, and they wouldn't let him leave Romania because Ceausescu is
Romania.
a maniac. But yeah, in 1990, he joined Madrid. But yeah, he could have been at Milan or Juventus, all these great Munich teams. But and he'd have been brilliant in all.
Just a great player, and kind of one of those hallmarks of the '90s. So for me, he had to be it.
Yeah, my second choice.
So who's your first?
Uh,
So, so
I
you,
had so obviously one of my midfielders is Matthias Sammer, who we've mentioned. And sort of U96 was a
Unconventional, unanimous choice.
yeah, uh, yeah, U96 was a sort of waterston moment, I guess, for us because I think football went from something we liked to something then we loved.
You also, we were in schools at the time, and Euro '96. They had posters in school.
Yeah,
Everything was linked to Euro '96. We went and saw people. If you went to any of the cities that had matches, you got welcome to Nottingham,
yeah,
home of group matches for Euro '96.
exactly. Yeah,
If I wanted a water bottle, or I remember we go on long journeys in the car with mum and dad, and I got a Euro '96 water bottle, and everything was Euro
yeah,
'96.
yeah. It was hard not to be swept up, and uh, Sama was just the best player in that tournament.
Oh, he's
And
a phenomenal human
this is
being.
so. This once again, this isn't the definitive list. This is the players that we love, and that, and of course, next couple of years, I sort of fell in love with that Dortmund team that he was such a big part of, him and Muller. Uh, but I, of course, I just like the fact that, and because I've got a 3-5-2, I like the fact that I'm a very flexible midfielder.
You've got the Bielsa 352, haven't you?
Yeah.
You sick human being.
Yeah, I have Sammer just to be uh, whatever. He's the German Calvin Phillips.
I like it. I like it.
Thank
He's
you. But yeah, because of that and that Dortmund team, he's made an indelible mark on my football psyche. So
the next one we're going to go for then is I know he's going to be a unanimous choice. He is Zinedine Zidane.
I have Zinedine Zidane in my midfield. Of course, I also have an extra midfielder.
So Zinedine Zidane, the '98 World Cup after Euro '96, and the heartbreak of the Gareth Southgate penalty shootout, and
Yeah,
falling in love with that United Beckham team, and those youngsters that we blooded that turned out to be world beaters, which was fantastic.
well,
Um,
almost.
Europe beaters
Yeah,
doesn't sound as good though, does it?
no.
Um, the World Cup '98, Zinedine Zidane was just pink.
Oh, for like a 5 year period around after that, it's just a human eye, and he's a man who like we always gone about just, the reliance on stats, and there's a few players like him, even like Iniesta and Xavi. Stats don't do justice for how good they were.
You had to almost create stats to show what, like look at the past stats.
Yeah, like Iniesta, Zidane, they don't have huge amounts of assists, which is sort of what you'd maybe expect. But on the eye test, I just love watching him play.
Well,
Um,
there's the film, isn't there? I'm watching him in a match. There's 23 cameras on the pitch. They're
yeah,
down a modern portrait.
yeah. I think that's what it's called. Yeah, I've got it. Let's have a watch. He's brilliant. He's the only person that they could probably maybe Iniesta. I don't think I guess Messi now.
But Messi's got the goal stats for it.
Yeah. But there's something just wonderful about watching them. Him,
It's a little
he
bit like
settles into the game. He lets the game sort of go around him, and then when he's needed, bam, 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 he's done what he's needed to do, and then got sent off.
but he's always done it at the big moments. And I think that was the key thing. It
Yeah,
was, those scoring twice in the '98 World Cup final.
yeah,
After, pretty much being a national shame for getting red carded in the group stages.
yeah. They were worried about him because it was the first game
Yeah,
he got sent off for stamping on a Saudi player
yeah, just being a bit of a knob.
in Petrol,
But
which he had in him.
but it was the mercurial moment. I know it wasn't in the '90s, but the volley against Leverkusen in the Champions League final. I think knowing that he was part of that Juventus team in the late '90s, which I loved, that France team that won the World Cup, and I remember watching that final and watching the semi-final against Croatia, and
Yeah,
which
I remember. I remember the 2002 World Cup where everyone sort of took pleasure in France being
Shitting the bed.
being shit. Of course, he got into the tournament injured, so he didn't actually. I don't think he actually appeared until the third game against Denmark, where he's heavily strapped, and it was just a case that no, he is everything to this French team. Yeah, no, just brilliant. Uh,
Had to be.
yeah,
He wasn't. He wasn't world class. He wasn't top of his game the entire 90s. But that period when he was on, my God, he
yeah,
was on at the highest stage. So that's why he went in for me.
yeah. So yeah, no, I couldn't go against that. So I put him as a sort of my most attacking midfielder.
Who's your other one?
My other one also played for Barcelona and Real Madrid
Michael Laudrup.
and Juventus, and yeah, it's Michael Laudrup,
And Lazio.
and that's yeah. I mean, you know my thing for a nearly man, and he's a very successful nearly man. Just because you know Denmark's greatest moment is '92, and he weren't there because he was fed out with the
Richard Moller Nilsson.
yeah. But yeah, what a player he was. Once again, he was more early '90s, so uh,
But he retired in '98. His last season at Ajax, to get out the stats, 11 goals in 21 games for Ajax.
yeah.
Good God.
Um, and you look at Figo, who also was uh, a Barcelona and Madrid player. He's not liked on one side of that on one side of the divide. There are certain other players who are not liked on the other side of the divide. So like Luis Enrique, who of course was vilified by the Madrid fans, but Laudrup is loved by both.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
And in his last season at Barcelona, he beat Real Madrid 5-0. In his first season at Real Madrid, he beat Barcelona 5-0. So,
And I think he's one of those players, like, like Brian Robson, because of the managerial career, possibly doesn't get the respect he deserves.
yeah,
Like Fernando Hierro.
yeah. Um, but yeah, uh, yeah, he left Barcelona because he fell out with Cruyff. But
He's taking no agenda. But yeah, I mean, he was someone I wanted to put in the team. Also, his brother was phenomenal as well.
yeah, I just because he played at Rangers, held it against him. If he'd have been in a proper league, it sounds awful because
I love Scottish
we
football.
lost both of Scottish football, but you know, it's not the most competitive.
Agreed.
But yeah. But I could just watch Roger sort of go past players all day and not be tired.
A little bit like Hardy, just had everything.
Yeah,
Just had everything.
just had
So
everything, and yeah, both got similar levels of CV.
I, I flipped a coin for Laudrup or Hardy.
Yeah. Um, like so, yeah, that's there was some of the Dutch players like Alan David stayed off, but they were sort of more 2000s. I thought
Yeah,
they
yeah.
they peaked more in the 2000s.
I was thinking of a Dutch player. So initially, I was thinking in terms of do I put in Frank Rijkaard because
Yeah,
when he played, look at but he retired in '95.
yeah,
So it felt difficult justifying him,
same.
and there were so many other players who justified it. So you can't kind of. But we did a podcast. If you want to listen to us talk about the Dutch, we did the best Dutch
We
team.
did best Dutch team, and yeah, I think White Cup does make it in.
We like the Dutch. We like Dutch
We
people.
love
We
the
like
team.
Dutch players. We like Dutch football. My football manager career was PSV because I love Dutch football so much.
Yeah, of course, yes. They are they're my second team effectively because the one I want to watch.
Absolutely. Most of the photos of me when I was younger of me in a Holland football
They
shirt.
really are. I was showing your daughter them earlier.
Yeah. So, up front. We've both gone for two up front.
Yep.
So I'm going to go for who I imagine is the universal unanimous choice. And the 94 World Cup brought one tremendous surprise, which was Bulgaria.
Yep.
Previously an uncle in the Wombles.
Yes. It took me a while to get that one.
Yeah. But that amazing team of Bald Lechkov and Ivanov in defence and just these
Yeah.
Krasimir Balakov.
Yeah. Some wonderful players.
But there was one person who stood out more than anyone else. And again, a player who played for multiple big teams.
Yeah. Ballon d'Or winner in '94.
Yes. Hristo Stoichkov.
Yeah. Uh,
There's very few players who he was pivotal to the dream team, wasn't
he was. Well, I think that they'd have been fine
he? Yeah,
without him.
that Cruyff Barcelona team would have been fine without him. But
But
what a team!
in the early '90s, he was uh, uh, a cheap player. Effectively, he was wonderful. Yeah, 76 in 150-ish games for Barcelona, which is um, ludicrous. And you know that front line of him and Romario is hard to beat.
Oh, absolutely. They ripped Man United apart.
Yeah,
That Gary Walsh game we mentioned.
yeah. Of course, won the the European Cup in '92 against Sampdoria. A
Yeah,
really boring game, but um, yeah, just he could be a dick, really could be. But uh, yeah, he was runner-up for FIFA World Player of the Year in '92, '94, and Ballon d'Or winner in '94, and sort of is there's a few players who are sort of defined by that World Cup '94, but he was the standout one.
absolutely. Oleg Solenko can go suck a lemon. But yeah, Stoichkov was a world class player, and a little bit like Gareth Bale at Wales.
Yeah,
Gareth Bale, when he's off the golf course, is a great player and has the ability to change a team, as you saw by Wales getting to the semis of that Euros, right?
yeah,
That Bulgaria team had some good players, but they wouldn't have got anywhere near where they got to without that man. So Hristo Stoichkov had to be in. So I'm going to go with the one Englishman.
Ooh,
Yeah, that's the reaction I was looking for.
is does he have an island?
I admire this man so much. I copied his hair loss. I tried to lose hair in the fashion similar to him. So that is Alan Shearer.
I can't argue because he's brilliant, and I don't think his Premier League stats will be beaten.
No, I don't. I don't think they will either. He dragged that Blackburn a little bit like
They didn't
Bulgaria.
drag them, but
Blackburn were a good team. They had functional players. They didn't need Zinedine Zidane. They had Tim Sherwood.
exactly, yeah,
They were a good functional team, but Shearer made them outstanding.
yeah,
Shearer made, for sentimental reasons, there's a part of me that'll always hate him for joining Newcastle over United.
well, yeah,
But if you're going to join your boyhood club,
yeah. I think that's it, isn't it? It was going home, wasn't it? Effectively, but
he had everything. Him in the early to mid 90s, and some even in the late. Yeah, it was really the 2000s where he lost his pace, wasn't it?
yeah, he had sort of various knee injuries, didn't he? But
Yeah. Great in the air, just a thunder bastard of a shot. Great positioning, could do anything you wanted him to do. If you wanted a target man, he could be that. If
yeah,
you wanted a number 9, he could be that.
no, he's
As the Euro 96 watchbacks, Alan Shearer, good lord.
oh, amazing.
So who did you go for? Out of a man we've just talked about how wonderful he is, and how you're sat there in an England shirt,
Yeah,
not picking an English player.
I don't think any English player did. No, no,
You football hipster.
I went with
I've
Roberto
gone for an
Baggio.
English formation.
Yeah, I know.
Roberto
I went
Baggio,
with Roberto Baggio. Uh,
great player. Il Divino.
yeah, sort of just off Stoichkov. Um, and uh, possibly a sentimental choice because my favourite things growing up was Sundays in front of the TV watching uh, uh, Football Italia
Golazo.
and watching sort of him in his pomp. Uh, just, I've never sort of never one loved a man more. Yeah, effectively. Like I watched the other day. His part of my World Cup '98 watch along. I watched the game against France when he is there and comes on and scores a penalty. Sort of a little bit of uh, retribution for you know, but yeah, still brilliant, still good in the early 2000s. Class is permanent, isn't it?
I think
But
there was
his also his knee pain was also permanent.
the redemption story across the 90s with Baggio that I liked. So plays for Fiorentina, leaves to go to Juventus. There's 2 days of rioting.
Yeah,
He goes to Juventus, does well. Goes to AC Milan, doesn't go as well. Seen as a bit of a spent property, goes to Bologna and absolutely rips it up, and then earns that move to Inter and does well there. And it's just
yeah,
constantly,
and sort of finishes at Brescia where he's
move,
still great.
yeah,
Um, um, he went there to basically to save them from relegation, and uh, he was superb. Um, this is in the 2000s, so but yeah, no, just a wonderful player, and you know, yeah, it's sort of a defining uh, player for me growing up. So I had to pick him effectively. So uh, yeah, did he win Ballon d'Or?
no.
93 won the Ballon d'Or.
Okay, that proved me wrong.
Yeah, when sort of all the best players in the world were playing in Italy. But yeah, wonderful, just a wonderful playmaker. And with him, I assume Stoichkov would score, uh, yeah, a goal a game. Crazy.
Just phenomenal player.
I do worry that there might be a bit of a Barney about who's going to take the free kicks between him, Stoichkov, Laudrup, Figo, Koeman, Hiera. So, but basically, as long as I'm within 30 yards, I'm going to get a goal quite regularly.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my team. Do you want to run through yours and I'll run through mine?
So I've got a goalkeeper of Schmeichel, right back Thuram, left back Maldini, centre backs of Sammer and Hierro. That's our great defence. Sorry. Um, right midfield of Figo, left midfield of Giggs, Hardy and Zidane in the middle, with a forward line of Stoichkov and Shearer.
I have gone Schmeichel in goal. That's a 3-year-old Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah.
In defence, I've gone Maldini, Hiero, Koeman. In midfield, from right to left, I have Figo, Sammer, Laudrup, Zidane, and Giggs. And up front, I have Roberto Baggio and Hristo.
No bad.
I think we do all right.
So that is our opinions. We welcome your opinions. Please feel free to contact us on any of our various social media outlets.
It's on the description of the on the podcast you're listening to.
And we really appreciate your listen. And please tell us.
Yeah.
And we'll be back shortly with another podcast where we're going to look at the non-European players of the 90s.
Look forward to it.
Fantastic. I'll speak to you all soon. Thank you.
Bye.